for that bike today, right?
Yeah, it's a cute bike.
How we looking, boys?
Not so good for you.
You want to ride your bike or you want to take a nap?
Why did I go first thing up?
They said, hey, pink face. Hey, pink face.
Grandma!
Yes.
No, that was stuck.
Hey, pink face. Almost
We're
there.
alive, gang.
I'm alive.
We're alive.
It was supposed to be wholesome. That's the funniest part. One of those moments the internet pretends it wants before immediately turning it into a full-blown debate. A bike, a kid, a grandma. And within hours, it's no longer about balance or training wheels. It's about control, shade, subtext, and who's really winning the Blueface family chess match. A clip drops of Karlissa taking Blueface's daughter out for her first bike ride. And suddenly the timeline freezes. People aren't watching for the bike anymore. They're watching Karlissa. Every word, every tone shift, every hey pink face suddenly sounds loaded. Like it came with footnotes and a group chat explanation. The comments don't ask if the kid had fun. They ask why this feels like a message. This isn't just a grandma moment. This is branding. This is optics. This is family politics wrapped in a pastel bike helmet. And if you think that sounds dramatic, congratulations, you understand how the internet works. Because when the Blueface universe does wholesome, it somehow still feels like a sneak diss in HD. This clip didn't go viral because of pedals and training wheels. It went viral because people swear they saw something deeper. And once the internet smells subtext, it doesn't let go. It digs, it speculates, it turns a bike ride into a storyline that makes the Kardashians look like they're moving in silence. The clip doesn't announce itself as controversial. It doesn't come with sirens, dramatic captions, or a warning that you're about to watch the internet lose its mind. It opens like a feel-good moment you'd expect to scroll past with a smile, a bike, training wheels, a kid learning balance, a grandmother laughing. But this is the Blueface universe, where even a glass of water comes with lore, and nothing stays innocent for longer than 10 seconds. Karlissa is front and center. And that alone changes the temperature. She isn't a background figure quietly cheering from the sidelines. She's a personality, a presence, someone who knows exactly how quickly a moment can flip from wholesome to headline. So when she posts herself taking Blueface's daughter out for her first bike ride, people don't just watch the ride. They watch her, they listen to the tone, they rewind the audio. They start asking questions nobody asked out loud yet. At first, the reactions are split cleanly. One side floods the comments with heart emojis and praise, calling it beautiful, loving, and refreshing. They say this is what family is supposed to look like. A grandmother showing up, creating memories, being hands-on instead of hands-off. To them, this clip is proof that at least someone in this chaotic family ecosystem is doing something normal. The other side doesn't clap so easily. They squint at the screen like it's a magician's trick hiding a second move. They say this doesn't feel random. They say nothing involving this family ever is. They start reading subtext into every frame because once you've watched enough public drama, you stop believing in coincidence. A bike ride becomes a message. A smile becomes a statement. And the internet starts narrating intentions Karlissa never explicitly voiced. Then there's the phrase that flips the entire comment section sideways. Hey pink face. Some hear affection. Some hear humor. Some hear branding. And some swear. It sounds like a nickname loaded with history and inside meaning. The clip gets replayed not to watch the kid pedal, but to analyze the delivery of that one line. Tone becomes the battleground. Was it playful? Was it pointed? Was it shade wrapped in sweetness? Everyone hears what they're already prepared To here, that's when the clip stops being about a first bike ride and starts being about power and presence. Who gets to be visible in this child's life? Who gets to document milestones? Who gets to look like the stable, hands-on figure in a family famous for instability? The internet loves these contrasts. It treats them like before and after photos. In a drama makeover montage, old clips start resurfacing because no moment exists in isolation anymore. People pull up past rants, past arguments, past moments where Karlissa made it clear she doesn't play quietly. Critics argue that this is another calculated appearance. Another reminder that she's involved, watching, and unafraid to be seen. Supporters fire back hard, saying it's unhinged to accuse a grandmother of manipulation for riding a bike with her granddaughter. But here's the uncomfortable truth. In a family where almost everything has been public, privacy becomes suspicious by default. Silence gets interpreted, visibility gets questioned. And normalcy starts looking staged simply because chaos has been the baseline for so long. The comments turn into a tug-of-war over meaning. Some viewers praise Karlissa for stepping in where others appear absent. Others accuse the internet of turning a child into a prop for narrative warfare. The word optics shows up over and over because once optics enter the conversation, intentions don't matter as much as appearances. Meanwhile, the kid stays blissfully unaware, focused on pedals and balance, not knowing she's become a symbol in an adult debate she didn't consent to. That's always the part nobody wants to sit with. Children don't choose storylines. Adults assign them. As the clip spreads, each repost reshapes it slightly. One caption frames it as a loving family moment. Another frames it as subtle shade. Another frames it as Karlissa asserting presence in a family power struggle. The same footage supports every version, which is why the debate refuses to settle. Everyone finds evidence for what they already believe. Karlissa doesn't rush to clarify anything. No long explanation, no defensive post. And honestly, that silence might be the smartest move. Clarifying would collapse the mystery, and mystery is what keeps a clip alive. Letting the internet argue keeps the spotlight exactly where it is. People begin speculating about motives because speculation is more entertaining than acceptance. Was this about the child? Or was it about reminding everyone who's involved? Was it love? Or was it leverage? The truth is probably less dramatic than either side wants. But the internet isn't built for moderation. It's built for extremes. The debate spills beyond the clip itself. Viewers start talking about boundaries, about whether children should be featured in public family moments at all, about who gets to share milestones and who doesn't, about whether visibility equals care, or whether care exists just fine off camera. None of these questions have clean answers. But they keep engagement high, which is all the algorithm needs. By the end of this phase, the bike ride has fully transformed. It's no longer a memory. It's a talking point, a symbol, a Rorschach test for how people feel about Karlissa, Blueface, and the entire family dynamic. Some see warmth, others see strategy, and both sides are convinced they're the ones seeing clearly. Nothing explodes yet. No major fallout, no direct clapbacks, just tension hanging in the air, thick enough to feel. Because when a moment this simple becomes this debated, you know the story isn't done unfolding. It's just warming up. Once the clip settles into the algorithm's bloodstream, the tone shifts from curiosity to competition. This is the stage where everyone wants to own the narrative, control the interpretation, and prove they spotted the real meaning first. The bike ride isn't just viral anymore. It's contested territory, and the internet loves nothing more than a moment it can fight over without ever agreeing on what actually happened. Reaction videos explode overnight. Some creators frame it like a heartwarming reset button in a family known for chaos. Others frame it like a chess move disguised as a tricycle. You can practically hear the gears grinding as people slow the footage down, pause on facial expressions, and analyze body language like they're decoding a Cold War broadcast. The kid pedals forward. The internet spirals backward. Memes show up right on schedule, because seriousness can only survive so long before humor hijacks it. Screenshots of Karlissa smiling get paired with sarcastic captions about grandma PR. Other posts mock the idea that a first bike ride needs a conspiracy board and red string. Jokes fly. Then immediately get scolded. People argue over weather. It's okay to meme a moment involving a child, then continue reposting it anyway. Outrage about outrage becomes the second wave of content. The comment sections turn into mini courtrooms. One side argues that Karlissa deserves credit for being present, active, and affectionate. They say the internet is allergic to positivity and suspicious of any moment that doesn't come with chaos attached. The other side insists this isn't about hate, it's about history. They argue that context matters, that this family doesn't exist in a vacuum, and that every public move carries weight because of what came before. Celebrity-adjacent reactions start creeping in, not as direct statements, but as vague signals. A repost here, a like there. A story about protecting children with no names attached. Ambiguity does the heavy lifting. Nobody wants to step fully into the fire, but plenty of people want to warm their hands near it. Each vague nod fuels speculation, because silence from the powerful always feels louder than words. Karlissa's supporters lean into the wholesome angle harder. They praise her for creating memories, for being visible, for stepping into a role that looks stable in contrast to the family's reputation. They argue that if she wasn't present, people would complain about neglect. And now that she is present, people complain about intention. According to them, the internet has already decided to mistrust her, and nothing she does will ever be received without suspicion. Critics counter with equal conviction. They argue that visibility isn't the same as care and that public moments don't automatically equal private responsibility. They question why certain milestones are shared publicly at all and whether that visibility benefits the child or the adults involved. To them, the bike ride isn't harmful by itself, but the framing feels strategic, whether intentional or not. And in a space where branding and family drama blur constantly, strategy feels believable. The phrase "Hey Pinkface" refuses to die. It becomes a meme, a debate topic, and a personality test all at once. Some people repeat it affectionately. Others repeat it mockingly. A few turn it into commentary about nicknames, identity, and ownership in celebrity families. One short phrase carries way more weight than it probably should. But that's how the internet works. Meaning multiplies when repetition kicks in. As the clip circulates, the internet starts doing what it always does next. It widens the lens. The conversation drifts from Karlissa alone to the entire family dynamic. Who's present? Who's missing? Who posts what? Who stays quiet? The bike ride becomes a reference point in a larger argument about involvement, influence, and optics. People start stacking moments together like they're building a narrative tower, even if the blocks don't quite line up. Creators begin subtly competing over tone. One channel frames it as heartwarming with a side of shade. Another frames it as subtle manipulation dressed as grandma energy. A third claims everyone needs to touch grass and stop psychoanalyzing a bike ride. Each approach attracts a different audience, and none of them fully cancel the others out. The story doesn't collapse into one version, it fractures into several. The algorithm rewards the loudest interpretations. Titles get sharper. The thumbnails get more dramatic. Words like calculated, strategic, and intentional start appearing next to screenshots of a kid riding a bike. That contrast alone keeps people clicking. Some viewers feel uncomfortable with how far the analysis has gone. Others feel validated, convinced they're watching a power move disguised as innocence. Karlissa herself remains mostly unbothered on the surface. No lengthy explanations, no defensive threads, and that calm only adds fuel to the speculation. Silence gets interpreted as confidence by supporters and as smugness by critics. Every lack of response becomes its own message, even if there isn't one. The wildest part is how quickly people start rewriting the meaning of the moment depending on their mood. On one day, It's wholesome family content. On the next, it's subtle shade aimed at people not present. The clip becomes a mirror. People don't see what's happening on screen. They see what they already believe about the family. Meanwhile, the kid remains the least discussed part of the story, which is both ironic and uncomfortable. Adults argue about symbolism while the actual moment itself stays simple. Heads turn, balance wobbles. A memory gets made, but online, simplicity never survives long enough to be appreciated. By now, the bike ride has outgrown its origin. It's not about learning to ride anymore. It's about perception, influence, and who controls the narrative when everything is public. Supporters feel protective, critics feel suspicious. Creators feel energized, and the internet feels justified in picking apart every frame. This is the stage where tension peaks without exploding. No direct clapbacks yet, no definitive fallout, just a constant hum of debate that refuses to die down, the kind of viral moment that doesn't crash immediately but lingers, waiting for the next development to push it over the edge. Because in this universe, nothing stays isolated. Every moment is a setup for the next one. And when something as small as a first bike ride sparks this much discussion, it's a clear sign the story isn't done evolving. It's just waiting for the next clip, the next caption, or the next silence to turn speculation into something louder. And that's where this chapter leaves the moment. No answers, no consensus. Just a viral memory stretched into a cultural argument, spinning faster than the bike wheels that started it all. By the time the clip stops climbing and starts hovering, the meaning of it has already changed. This is the phase where the internet pretends it's done arguing, but keeps bringing it up anyway. The comments slow down, the memes thin out, and the story settles into something heavier than a viral moment. It becomes a reference point, and reference points don't fade, they wait. Karlissa's image shifts in subtle but permanent ways. To her supporters, this moment cements her as present, active, and unapologetically involved. They point to the bike ride as proof that she shows up, that she creates memories instead of excuses, that she doesn't disappear when things get complicated. In their version of the story, this clip isn't controversial at all. It's evidence that someone in this family is steady when steadiness feels rare. To critics, the moment lands very differently. They don't see innocence frozen in time. They see calculation wrapped in a pastel helmet. They argue that once a family's life becomes public property, no milestone exists without messaging attached. They say this clip will age into a quiet flex, a reminder of visibility and access that speaks louder than any caption ever could. Whether that was the intention or not stops mattering, because perception has already written its own ending. What's undeniable is how the moment redraws the family map in the public eye. Conversations drift from the bike ride into broader questions about influence and proximity. Who gets to be seen? Who gets to document milestones? Who controls the narrative of care when everything is posted? The clip becomes shorthand in debates that were already simmering, now given fresh fuel. The most interesting shift happens with the audience. Some people disengage completely, deciding the analysis has gone too far. They scroll past anything with the same thumbnail energy, tired of every family moment being turned into a referendum. Others stay locked in, not because they're angry, but because they're curious. Curiosity replaces outrage, and curiosity is stickier. It keeps people watching without commenting, absorbing without participating. Creators who rode the wave quietly move on, but the echoes don't. The bike ride resurfaces in unrelated conversations, dropped casually like everyone already knows what it represents. Remember the bike video becomes a sentence loaded with assumed meaning. That's when you know a viral moment has graduated into lore. Karlissa doesn't appear rushed to correct anyone. And that might be the smartest play of all, clarifying would collapse the ambiguity. And ambiguity is where power lives online. As long as people argue, she remains central, not loud, not defensive, just present. and presence in this ecosystem is currency. The child, meanwhile, becomes almost invisible in the discourse again, which is both telling and troubling. Adults argue about symbolism while the actual moment stays simple and unremarkable in real life terms. A first bike ride, a wobble, a laugh, a memory. The internet adds the weight. The child just rides. Public perception settles into a strange middle ground. The clip isn't scandalous enough to demand apologies, but it's too loaded to be forgotten. It sits in that uncomfortable space where nothing technically went wrong, yet nothing feels neutral either. Those moments linger the longest because they never get resolved. They just get remembered differently depending on who's telling the story. Family dynamics start feeling more scrutinized after this. Every feature appearance involving Karlissa gets watched harder. Every smile gets measured. Every post gets framed as intentional. Not because of anything she says next, but because the audience has learned to read her presence as meaningful. Once that lens snaps into place, it doesn't come off easily. The wider takeaway is less about this family and more about the culture watching them. The internet claims it wants wholesome moments, but only if they arrive free of history. Once history exists, wholesomeness gets interrogated like a suspect. A bike ride becomes a statement, a nickname becomes a headline. Silence becomes strategy. What lingers after the noise fades is a sense that this moment changed how people watch everything that comes next. The next family clip won't be judged on its own. It'll be measured against this one. The next milestone won't just be a milestone, it'll be a comparison. And comparisons are where narratives harden. In the end, no one really wins a moment like this. Supporters feel validated but defensive. Critics feel justified but unresolved. Creators feel satisfied but already chasing the next spark. And the internet moves on, convinced it decoded something important, even if what it decoded says more about itself than the people on screen. That's the lasting impact of the viral bike ride. Not outrage, not praise, but permanence. A small, ordinary moment stretched into a symbol, stamped into the timeline, and saved for future arguments that haven't even started yet. Because in this world, nothing stays small once it's seen by millions. Even a first bike ride can become a chapter. And chapters don't close quietly, they wait to be referenced when the story needs tension again. And now it's your turn to pedal into the chaos. Because moments like this don't end when the video cuts off, they live on in the comment section. Was this genuinely wholesome family energy? Or was it another carefully timed moment that the internet was always going to read between the lines? Did people overanalyze a grandma bonding with her granddaughter? Or did the history make that impossible from the jump? Don't play neutral. Neutral never trends. Drop your real take below. Say it loud. Say it honest. Say it the way you would if your name was the one getting dissected frame by frame. Because whether you saw love, strategy, or just a normal memory turned into content chaos, your perspective is part of why these stories keep evolving. This isn't just gossip. It's culture reacting to itself in real time. If this video made you stop scrolling, rewind, or argue with your screen for even 5 seconds, smash that like button like it owes you money. Likes tell the algorithm this wasn't just another cute clip, it was a moment that sparked conversation. And if you're tired of innocent moments turning into full-blown internet debates overnight, hit subscribe right now. This channel tracks what happens after the clip goes viral. New moments drop fast, narratives shift faster, and the next so-called wholesome clip is already loading somewhere on someone's phone. When it hits, you'll want the breakdown that doesn't pretend context doesn't exist. Stay locked in. Stay questioning everything. And remember, on the internet, nothing is ever just a bike ride. Celeb SYNC